What's up, adventurers? My name is Platinum Phoenix, and welcome back to Ocarina of Time. Last time, we went through the Ice Cavern and got a lot of different things that are pointing us towards the Water Temple. And this time, we are going to almost completely ignore them and do one of the best side quests in the games in terms of reward. So to start off the side quest, we actually need to come back to Kakariko Village and talk to the Kuko lady. I bred a new type of miniature Kuko. It's called a pocket Kuko. I don't get goosebumps from this baby. Kukos are very good at getting lazy. Late risers out of bed. Haven't you heard of them before? It makes them very happy to crow Kuko, especially when it wakes up a very heavy sleeper. However, my Kuko is not entirely happy right now. You look like you're good at handling Kukos. Here, take this egg. After a Kuko hatches, bring it back to me after a while, and I'll check out its mood. What do you think? Will you try? Yes, we will. And she has given us an egg. Basically, this works the exact same way as the one Malin gave us so long ago. But we do have one extra thing that will help us with this, and that is that we are the masters of time now, and can just skip ahead to the next day in order to force it to hatch. Look, a Kuko hatched from the egg you were incubating. It's a miracle of life. Yeah, basically you just have to play the Sun Song twice because the Kuko lady only appears during the daytime. And as soon as you do that, the Kuko hatches. But what we want to do next is actually go over to this house. Because if you remember the first time we came back here as an adult, there's a certain guy that's a little lazy in here. And going based off of the Kuko's lady advice, I will give you a chicken. What in tarnation? Can't a person get a little shut-eye around here? And now that you're awake, did you save Malin? Thanks, I'm going back to the ranch then. Yeehaw! We can actually wake up Talon and tell him that we actually saved Lon Lon Ranch after we defeat Ingo in the horse race to get Epona. And by doing that, we actually get him to go back to Lon Lon Ranch after all of this time. Which I think is just a really cool detail and something that you wouldn't really think to go check on after getting Epona, because there's really no reason to head back to Lon Lon Ranch after that point. But, like she said, after we have the Kuko for a little bit, we should come back and show her. Oh, your Kuko looks pretty happy. He must be awakened. He must have awakened an extremely lazy guy. You're a good Kuko keeper. I'll give you a rare, valuable Kuko if you're interested. Its name is Kojiro, and it used to be my brother's Kuko. Its blue body is quite charming. It's so cute. Since my brother is gone, it's strange, but Kojiro has stopped crowing. Do you want to keep Kojiro? Sure. So we trade in our white Kuko for a blue Kuko. Take Kojiro to the location marked with an arrow on the map subscreen. You may find someone there who knows this bird personally. So if we pull up the map, like it was just saying, it's telling us that we want to head over to the Lost Woods. But actually on our way back to the Lost Woods, I wanted to stop by Lon Lon Ranch to show that if we go into the cow stable, we can actually see that Talon is here. And if we talk to him, I'm going to turn over a new leaf and work real hard from now on. So it seems that now that Ingo is behaving himself and that Malin has taken over the ranch, Talon decided to head back here. But I do want to show that if we actually turn it to night, we can see Talon migrate out here by the horse field. And I believe he says the exact same thing. I'm going to turn over a new leaf and work real hard from now on. But the reason he's standing here is because this is the closest that you have, or this is the farthest away you can be, and still hear Malin singing Epona's song. So I think it's just a really cool detail that Talon's just standing out here listening to his daughter sing during the night. It's just a really cool detail. But with saying that, our next stop is just over at the Lost Woods. And in the Lost Woods, if we make a left here at the very beginning, we will come over here and see this man that we've saw a couple of times before, just kind of sitting over here. And you might also recognize him as the guy who sits beneath the tree in Kakariko Village during the child section of the game at night. And he just kind of sits there and he's angry at his dad and everything. But if we talk to him, no response. We should get his attention. How about chicken? Kojiro? Why, normally I'm only a nice guy like me can tame you. Which means you must be a nice guy. You must be. Please, Mr. Nice Guy, please, deliver this to the old hag in the potion shop in Kakariko Village. This will disappear if you take too long, so you gotta hurry. And this strange guy that we found in the middle of the woods gives us an old mushroom. I feel like we shouldn't trust this. But like he said, we need to take this back to Kakariko Village. And he also said that if we take too long, it'll spoil, which is actually what that timer at the bottom of the top screen is showing. We basically get 3 minutes to make it back to Kakariko Village, which, in all honesty, is more than enough time, especially if you have Epona. So we're just going to run out here and hop on Epona and just kind of ride along. But while we're heading back to Kakariko Village, I want to talk about why we're actually taking on this side quest right now. Basically, there's 2 reasons. The first is I didn't want to do it before this point because, 1, it was impossible for us until this point, but 2, we were really powerful as of right now. Like, we have 4 bottles that we can put fairies in that basically gives us immunity. We have a giant's knife that we can use that will do 4 damage if we really have to lean on it. And a bunch of other items like Din's Fire and Fiore's Wind that allow us to traverse and do a lot of damage all at once to surrounding enemies. So I didn't really feel a need to have to take on this side quest until now. But the reason I wanted to do it now and not wait any longer is because we're going up into the water temple next, and this item that we get for doing this quest is very helpful for the water temple, specifically one boss that we have to face. But we still have a minute and a half to go before this mushroom spoils, so it really only takes you like maybe a minute and a half to 2 minutes to get here, but we need to come into the potion shop and talk to you. Sniff, sniff, sniff. What a mysterious smell. You must have something. And we just had to present her with the mushroom. Fool. He had to go into the forest, I see. Hey, give it to me now. If you see that fool, give this to him. This is the strongest medicine I have ever produced. However, this holotice will not work on a monster. And we get the old, I'm just going to call it old medicine. You don't know what's going on between this lady and the guy, but take it to the Lost Wood. The location of the young punk who wanted it is marked with the arrow on the map subscreen. They state that there is no medicine that can cure a fool. I guess that's true. So, with this old medicine, we just need to head back to the Lost Woods to give it to that guy. Alright, back in the Lost Woods, we're just gonna head back over here to where this guy was and see that he was replaced with a Kokiri girl and he is nowhere to be found, which probably isn't the best thing when talking about a place called the Lost Woods. But since she's the only one here, I guess we should give her the old medicine. That guy isn't here anymore. Except for the Kokiri, people who come into the forest end up lost. They all become Stalfos. That's why he's not here anymore. Only his saw is left. Hee hee. That medicine is made of forest mushrooms. Give it back. And for giving her the odd medicine, we get the poacher's saw. The young punk guy must have left this behind. take it to the place marked with the arrow icon on the map subscreen. Someone there might have a use for this all like this. Hehehe. Are you going to become one too? Hehe. So if we pull up the map subscreen, you will see that there's actually a arrow to the left of Lon Lon Ranch, and that is showing that we are actually going to a place we haven't been to yet. And this is another reason I wanted to wait to do this side quest, because I didn't want to go to a bunch of places we haven't been. And this is actually the only time during this entire side quest where we actually have to go somewhere we haven't gone to before. And even so, we're not going very far into that location. But as we're heading over there, I actually want to talk more about the guy that that Kokiri girl said turned into a Stalfos, because there's actually an interview about that very topic that was published in a magazine called 64 Dream issue 31, which I've talked about before, but it's basically a gaming magazine, kind of like Nintendo Power. But in that interview, Yoshiaki Koizumi stated that after that, there's a Kokiri girl named Fado waiting with a deep message. Everyone is a Stalfo, yes. Everyone who wanders into the Lost Forest becomes a Stalfo and goes and lives at the Forest Temple. And I wanted to bring up this interview because it might actually give us a hint at what happened to some of the residents of Castletown after the 7 years. Of course, some of them may have been re-deads that are in the Castletown, but some of them may have also fled to the Lost Woods in search of protection, and not being Kokiri like Fado said, they may have very well turned into Stalfos and may have even been some of the Stalfos we faced while going through the Forest Temple, which at the very least gives us a little bit of closure on where some of the people have disappeared to over the 7 years. But with that being said, our next location is actually over here, the Gerudo Valley. And I want to bring this up right now. I highly recommend actually riding Epona up here instead of just running up here. And the reason for that recommendation is actually shown immediately. Because we actually need Epona to walk over this bridge, please. But actually to jump over this bridge. Yeah, Epona is actually required to get over here, meaning this is technically another bottleneck for this side quest, which apparently there are several. There's actually another item that allows you to get over, but I just recommend getting Epona. She's so easy to get at the beginning of the adult section of this game. Plus, she makes traveling so much faster around Hyrule that I just recommend getting Epona. But this is the guy that we are looking for. I am the master craftsman. Those Gerudo thieves, they broke the bridge. I want to fix it, but all of my workers are gone. They said working as carpenters isn't cool, and they went to the Gerudo Fortress to become thieves. Hey you, if you're going to the Gerudo Fortress, or if you're going to the fortress, would you mind finding out what my workers are doing over there? Well, the fortress he's talking about is over that direction, but we aren't actually heading over there right now. But I do want to give you this saw. Hey, that saw, it's mine! But I thought I left that saw with my old lady. Oh well. My Bigoron tool broke, so I was going to go to Goron City to repair it. Your coming here is great timing. Will you give me my saw? Good kid, thanks. I'm sorry I can't give you something as good in return, but take this anyway. And in return, he gives us a broken Goron sword. Bigoron's location is marked with an arrow on the map subscreen. So this Bigoron's broken sword, or broken Goron sword. Apparently I can't talk right now. This is the exact same icon that you would get if you are using the giant knife and it breaks. Meaning you can actually technically use this item in the form of the broken giant knife. And the Broken Giant's Knife only does 1 damage and has pitiful range, so I wouldn't recommend using it, but I just find it cool that they kind of force you to see the icon, even if you don't use the broken sword. But there's actually something different about this guy, or something important about this guy that I need to talk about. And that is in the N64 version of this game, there's actually a bug to do with him. And that is when you give him the poacher's saw, it actually breaks one of the upgrades in the game. Being the final Deku Nut upgrade that you get for taking the Skull Mask to the forest stage and talking to the Deku Scrub. And basically, after you give the poacher's saw to him, the Deku Scrubs no longer recognize the Skull Mask, meaning they won't give you the final upgrade for the Deku Nut. They do fix it in the 3DS version of the game, so you don't have to worry about it unless you're playing the N64 version. But I did want to bring it up just because it's really weird that it's just a random upgrade that's broken by giving him that saw. But after coming up here and getting that piece of heart, I think we are just going to play the Bolero of Fire. And head to Death Mountain where Bigoron is. Alright, back up here on the top of Death Mountain Trail, we just need to head over here. And, Bigoron seems a little bit worse for wear since last time we saw him. But we came up here for one purpose only. Here's your broken sword, man. That broken knife is surely my work. I really want to repair it, but because of yesterday's eruption, my eyes are irritated. There are fine eye drops in Zora's domain. You will find them if you go to see King Zora. Please go get my eye drops. And for Green to go get his eye drops, he gives us a full-on prescription. King Zora's location is marked with an arrow on the map subscreen, but at this point, you should really know where King Zora is. He's one of the few characters in this game that never move, and seeing as we just freed him last episode, I think this is the perfect time to go talk to him. All right, and all we need to do is come up here and present King Zora with the prescription.
Oh, this is, well, eye drops. You might say we have them, you might say we don't. We do have the ingredients. If you take the ingredients to the doctor at this laboratory, he can make the drops for you. But you need to deliver them fresh. Did you make it before they spoil?
And he just gives us a full-on frog. Be quick and take it to Lakeside Laboratory, marked with the arrow icon on the map subscreen. So we are heading back over to Lake Hylia, and we have a timer. Like you said, we need to deliver it fresh. But I actually want to talk a little bit more about King Zora as we're heading over there, because if you remember, he was frozen in ice last episode, and we had to thaw him out with the blue fire. And that is actually the main reason that we couldn't do this side quest earlier. Basically, it's the biggest joke point, because you have to do the entire, ice cavern and have bottles, and then actually remember to thaw out King Zora and everything, in order to actually get the eyeball frog in order to do this side quest. But I also want to talk about how this is the longest, or this is the hardest section of the side quest as well, because they only give you 3 minutes, and Zora's domain is frozen, meaning we can't use the shortcut from Zora's domain to Lake Hylia, since we can't dive down in order to go through the door or anything. So that leaves us 2 options, and I decided that I wanted to go to the Lost Woods option, because I wanted to show off what that well of water actually led to, since I've been meaning to do so, but we haven't really had any reason to go through it until now. But the other option you have is just to run all the way through Zora's River, but I just tend to find that running through Zora's River is shorter than going down the well, and through the Lost Woods, especially if you have the magic beam plant. It's just faster in my opinion. But now that we have Epona, we're just going to ride over to Lake Hylia. They also give you plenty of time, I think, because we still have a minute left and we're almost to Lake Hylia already. But I do want to bring up, I find this quest so funny because we started this quest with a lady just sad that one of her chickens were sad. And we had to hatch the chicken and make it happy by waking up a farmer. And now we are running across Hyrule with a frog in order to get eye drops for a giant Goron. It's kind of absurd. But welcome to Lake Hylia, or should I say Puddle Hylia, because the entire lake is dried up, which, in my opinion, doesn't make a whole ton of sense, since Sheik has told us that the creature inside of the water temple is the one that froze Zora's domain. So you would think that Lake Hylia would also be frozen, but no, it's completely gone. But we just need to come in here and present this guy with a frog. No, don't raise the frog. Give the man the frog. Wow, I haven't seen an eyeball frog since Zora's domain froze over. These eyeballs are delicious. Tonight I will cook fried eyeballs for the first time in a long time. Such great stuff. Please say thank you to King Zora, eh? What? These are for making Bigoron's eye drops. Oh, how disappointing. You should have said that in the first place. Here it is. This medicine doesn't have any preservatives in it, so it won't last long at this temperature. Run as fast as you can to Death Mountain. You're young, you can do it. And we are given the world's finest eye drops, which is probably my favorite item name in the entire game. It's just so funny that they're just like, yep, these are the best. But now we need to hurry along and take them over to Bigoron. But before we head that way, we're given 4 minutes, so I'm going to kind of lollygag around a little bit. I want to head up here and actually target upwards to see if I can see the Gwei that's up there. And we are just going to climb all the way up to the top of the Lakeside Laboratory, because all the way up here is another piece of heart that we can get, bringing us up to 2. And I just need to recommend this magic beam plant will kind of just throw you all the way across the Lake Hylia. So you want to jump off of it as soon as it gets up to the top of the rooftop. Also, that is the main reason I planted that magic bean all the way back when we were first at Lake Hylia. But now that we have that, we are just going to run back out to Hyrule Field. And actually, I'm going to lollygag around a little bit more, because I want to head back over here towards where Gerudo Valley is. Because if we head over here, which I know this is the direct opposite way of where we are supposed to be going, but trust me, we have plenty of time. We want to just head over here and up this hill. Because over here between Gerudo Valley and Castletown, there is this lone tree that if we hop off of Epona, we can see that there is a hidden grotto here that we can blow up. And we're just going to go ahead and go inside. And what we need to do in here is, it's just a big pool of water, so if we put our iron boots on, we will sink to the bottom and get another piece of heart. Bring us up to 3 in another episode. It's been so many episodes in this series that I've noticed that we've gotten 3 pieces of heart specifically. And I did not plan it that way, but it's kind of funny that it actually worked out to where, like, probably a good third of the episodes that I've released on this episode, we've gotten 3 pieces of heart. But next up, we still have 2 minutes to go, so we've only used 2 minutes of our time. But I think the fastest method of getting over to Bigoron is actually by going through the Lost Woods and going through Goron City's shortcut, because I think that's faster than trying to climb up through Kakariko Village and going and actually climbing Death Mountain itself. But there is a couple of interesting things about this timer that we get for some of these items. First off, when you're under a minute, it will start beeping at you, which is basically just its indicator that you have less than a minute left to go before the thing spoils. But if we go into Death Mountain Crater, you will see that the time went from 45 seconds to 1:50. There is an interesting quirk in this game where they can only render one timer at a time, since the timer always takes up the same spot on the top screen. Which means I highly recommend not actually using the Goron Tunic while running through here, because it pauses the timer for the world's finest eye drops while showing you either the fire timer whenever you're in a hot place like the mountain crater, or something like the while underwater, while we were getting the heart piece, it also showed us a different timer. But now that we are here, we just need to give Bigoron his eye drops. Here you go, buddy. I know your eyes hurt. Really? You brought the eye drops. I'm so relieved. I'm going to use them right now. Wow. This is stimulating. It's working great. Now I can get back to my blade business. My work is not very consistent, so I'll give this to you so you won't forget. After a few days, please return. Wait, just wait patiently. And we are given the claim check. You can't wait for your sword to be complete. So, what this Bigoron, or Big Goron, which is what his name actually is, wants us to do is wait 3 days, which would be a pretty big hassle, but luckily, once again, we are the masters of time. So all we need to do is actually play these Sun songs 6 times in a row in order to skip past 3 days, basically. Alright, now that we have stood in front of this guy and played the Sun song 6 times, I wonder what he would think about that, actually. We could just go up to him and present our claim check. Your sword is the finest work. And the reward for doing this entire side quest is the Bigoron sword. You traded the giant's knife for the Bigoron sword. This blade was forged by a master smith and won't break. This is easily the best sword in the game, for several reasons. It is, one, the replacement for the giant's knife, but it has the one huge upgrade of not breaking when you hit things. So you no longer have to worry about going back to the Goron City to buy new giant knives. The other thing is that it will deal 4 damage per hit, like the giant's knife did, but with a jump slash, kind of like the giant's knife, it will do 8 damage, being easily the highest amount of damage that anything in the game can deal. That's all with the added bonus of having just massive reach to this thing, including things like the charged spin attack just being a massive spin attack to take out enemies, as well as the quick spin attack not being that much smaller either. It makes taking out groups of enemies or like really small enemies that like swarm you, like the Keith and stuff like that, this makes them a non-issue at that point. It's just the nicest sword to use. The only downside is, like the giant's knife, you cannot use the Hylian shield, but Trading off a little bit of defense for the strongest weapon in the game is hardly a sacrifice. But with all of that done, we are just going to play the Serenade of Water and head to Lake Hylia. But with us getting the Bigoron sword, I think we are going to end the episode here. So I hope that everyone enjoyed watching. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Next time we head into the Water Temple. But until then, happy adventuring.